Hey YouTube, how you doing? Kevin here, coming at you with another video. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the ignition setup on these bikes. I get a lot of requests for ignition timing. So we're going to talk about ignition timing and um, what you have to do, because what you have to do is real simple. Alright, but it sounds complex. So let's just get right into it. First, I'm going to start off with the timing marks on the motor. Okay, your timing marks on your motor are for your alignment, so you can, what do you call it there, set your points and get them open accurately, and I'm going to talk to you guys about how they work. Okay, so I'm going to put my flashlight down here because it's going to be a little difficult to see. And where is my, oh, I can use my finger. Okay, alright, so right up under here, I'm going to focus and I'm going to blow you guys up. Here we go. Alright, so the breaker points plate right here, the magneto, is held on with two screws. One up top at 12 o'clock, one at 6 o'clock. Okay? And then to the left of the top upper screw, over about, I want to say about a quarter of an inch, there is a timing mark right there. See that mark? That line? That is your alignment right there. Okay? So that's your degrees off. So I'm going to put you guys back on my thing. Remember the timing mark. Keep that fresh in your memory. The timing mark. You're going to need for this next part. Okay. I'll shrink you guys back down. And then on your magneto, there is another timing mark right here. To right there. Okay, that's for the window, so when you're setting your points, you have a reference here in the front and one in the back. Now, on your electronic ignitions, it just has one up top here, and there's no window because these are not adjustable. Okay, you can't. There's no points to adjust. Everything's in the same spot if you line it up by flywheel keys, but they're in the same spot. They're just there's no window on this one. Okay, they do that so you can't mix them up, and there's no cam. There will be no way a cam right here to open and close the points, because basically what happens is the points, that little brown piece right there, rides on that cam, and as it spins it opens and closes it. Whenever you adjust points, you absolutely have no choice. You have to keep this, you have to put this flywheel on, because that's your cam right there. Okay, that is not perfectly round. That has a lobe on it which opens and closes the points. Okay, if you try adjusting your points with this off, there is no possible way to do so. Alright, so without further ado, we have the points. So you're going to rotate the engine counterclockwise. Okay, as the flywheel comes around, this is a flywheel, as it comes around, it starts to open the points. Okay, now who's the timing mark right here? Here's the timing mark. And when this timing mark gets to that timing mark, your points are at their maximum height. They should be at your full bore, your full potential, your full height. At that point, your gap between the points right here, this gap right here, which you would use a feel gauge, right here, that should read 0.012 to 0.016 inches, or 0.3 to 0.4 millimeters. Okay, that's the field gauge that you're going to be using. So you're going to be using a 12 thousandths to 16 thousandths. I always try to shoot for a 14. And then you're going to do from a 3 to a 4, and it really doesn't matter which one on the millimeters you use. And that's going to set your time, your ignition, your points. There is no other adjustment that you could possibly do on this. The plate is tapered right here with two screws. There is no, you can't rotate the plate like you can on some other dirt bikes. The screws are tapered, so when they fit in there, it basically it's a perfect alignment. You cannot alter this plate. So your only adjustment you have is the points. Okay. and that's your whole timing. That is your whole timing adjustment right there. Now, part of the thing was, can you do it? Can you check them with a multimeter? Well, you can check the components individually, and this is going to get kind of this is going to be the complicated part to explain that may not make sense for a lot of you. So what you're going to do is you're going to set it to ohms and the diode test. Click it. Then you touch them again, you can hear beep. I don't know if you can hear that beep or not. I'll try doing it this way. Okay, heard that beep? Okay, that beep means a dead short. Well, if you don't hear a beep, that means it's good. So here's the set of points right here. I'm going to ground it on one end, and I'm going to touch the wire nut on the other end. You can hear the beep. Okay? That means it's a dead short. That means they're closed. I'm going to open them up, and I'm going to simulate the cam opening the points. And I'm going to take a piece of paper and stick it in between it. Okay? Now I should not get a beep. See? No beep. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm putting it right through the thing. I'm grounding to the base, through the screw hole where it goes, and I'm touching it to the nut. There is no beep. Now if I remove the paper and I touch the nut, I'm going to hear a beep. See that? So these are a good set of points. These are working good. Upon inspection of points, you're going to hold them open and check and make sure they're see how if they're worn or not, if they're pitted or have a lot of ash. So say you close the points, okay, and you touch it and you're not getting anything. Okay, with the points closed, you should get a beep. If you're not getting a beep, that's because there's corrosion or erosion in between them. So you would use a nail file, like so, and then you would just go back and forth a few times just to clean them off, and then re-inspect and make sure you got all the corrosion off, and then retest. Okay. Now, the gentleman asked me to check the points while they're in circuit with a multimeter. You can't. This is the part that's going to be kind of complicated to explain. On a lawnmower you could, because it doesn't have a charge coil. Let me explain to you how this works. Okay, you have this coil and this coil right here. Now this is in the way it would be mounted on the bike. Your points will be at 12 o'clock. Your charging coil for your points, for your ignition. Everything on the ignition part is right here. Your points, your charging coil, and your condenser. All on this side. Okay? These three components right here are what gives you your spark. Okay? They put power to the coil that gives you a spark. Okay? This side of the magneto, this winding and this winding or coil, these two coils, these ones right here charge your battery and your lights. And this little felt right here is very important to lubricate, because that keeps the camshaft clean and lubricated, so it doesn't wear out your little cam lobe right here. And as you can see, this one is worn. So if you can see it not too well in the light, you can see how it's worn because it wasn't lubricated. So gapping these, you have to, if you don't lubricate that, you have to gap them. You have to check your gap more often. If you lubricate it, it'll last longer, and your points will last longer. To lubricate that, you just use a drop of oil right onto it, and the felt will absorb it. Okay? Alright, so let's get back into this. So, like I said, you're gonna rotate your flywheel counterclockwise until your your timing mark matches up with the timing mark up top. Then through the window, you're going to loosen up that screw up top there, that Phillips screw. You're going to use a small flathead screwdriver right up in this area right here. See right there? And then you can raise and lower the points, and you're going to gap them with the so it's kind of tricky because you got to use two hands. And once again, you have to do it with the flywheel installed. If you don't do it with the flywheel installed, there is no possible way to adjust the points. Okay, now, like I said, the question was, can you check them with a multimeter while they're in the bike? The correct answer for that is no. And I'm going to explain to you why. And actually, I can just show you why. Okay, I got a set, the multimeter set. Put that like this. Touch this here. Okay, this is a good set of points off of a running engine. Not this one, but it came off a running engine. You put this down here, you ground it, and then you touch the nut. Hear the beep? That means the points are closed. Normally, what would happen would be you take a piece of paper to simulate the cam and stick that in there, and then you touch the nut, and you can still hear the beep. Okay, you're probably asking me now, why can you still hear the beep? And if that's the case, then how's it working? How's that a good working set of points? Well, here's how it works. When the magneto spins around counterclockwise really, really fast, you're putting power to this voltage right here, and that's what opens and closes your points. Okay? It opens and closes it just like that, the cam, and that breaks the field. So what basically is the magnetic part is generating higher voltage than that ohm meter is going to read. So when it generates its volts, 6 volts, when it generates the 6 volts and you open this up, it collapses it. It drops it way below the 6 volts. And that right there is what pulsates the coil. So a lot of people ask, what's the condenser do? The condenser, it basically takes the arc. So if you didn't have the condenser and you had it wired directly, every time this thing opened and closed, you'd see sparks. It would be like someone welding. The capacitor dampens it, so when it opens up, it's going to be like a little, like you might see a little pulse, or like a little spark in there, but it won't be as bad as it would be without the condenser. Also, too, condensers can short out. So you want to make sure yours is not shorted out. Just ground them out and check them. But you got to do it when it's not in the system. So the way the electrical works, hold on one second. The way the electrical works on this. Okay, buddy.
Hi,
Come on.
Dada.
Hi, buddy. Come on. Okay. I'm going to turn down the heat, Mama. Okay, so the way the electrical works is your charge coil right here has a power wire that goes up to your condenser, which is that little thin one, and that gives power to the coil, which this is also ground. So when you're reading your points, you're actually going backwards through the windings into the ground that way. That's how you're finding it. So the points really just break down the field. They break down the field when it starts to generate. It breaks down the voltage, and that's what trips the coil. So that's how that whole system works. There is no, you can't, if you want to check the points with the multimeter, all you have to do is undo this screw right here that's not on the top part here, right here, and you can read them individually. So you can check the points to make sure they're grounded properly without that. But that's, in essence, that's how it works. I know it's kind of confusing because you'd think that you'd be able to test it this way and have it come out good, but you can't, because the wire goes through the condenser to the coil, and the coil to the ground. So it actually is one big connection. However, when it's generating voltage and that opens up, it collapses that field, and that's what pulsates your coil and gives it the power, and gives it the spark. So hopefully that helps you guys out. A couple of things that I would recommend is using some whiteout and marking your ignition marks on both of them so you can line them up, because I have seen a lot of people they're like, okay, I'll just do the thing, and they end up doing it on the wrong window, and on the wrong window is a flat side, so they gap the points on the flat side, and then it tries to open up even more on the other side, which would be 180 out, 180 degrees off. So that's pretty much how you do them. I mean, there's really not much to them. That's how you test them, check them, that sort of thing. With the bike running, you put that on there. If you put the multimeter on there on voltage in between the wire, it's just gonna, the number's gonna be erratic, and it's gonna pulse, and it's gonna be all over the place, and it's not, you're not gonna ever get an accurate reading that way. Just because everything's open and closing so fast that the number's gonna be like going up and down. It's gonna be crazy. So the way you test them, you undo the screw, you can check your points and make sure they're grounded properly. If they are, then go ahead and set the points. If you undo that bolt and you stick this right here and here, and you still get the beep, if you still get the beep, then your points are bad. And that does happen. So, very common. Okay. So, that's pretty much all I have for this video right here on the timing. The ignition timing cannot be set. The only thing you can set is your points gap on your ignition. Also too, I also want to tell you guys one more time, 1 second. If you're still having problems with your ignition, and you check your spark plug and it has the blue letter R on it, that's a resistor plug. And I already showed you guys this, but I'm going to show you guys again because it's very important to know. Alright buddy, just give me a minute. You do it the same way. I just put it right to, like, you know, ohms, so you can hear the beep. Okay. Like that. One on here and one on here, and see if you have a reading. If you have a reading, that's bad. If you have no reading, that's good, because a resistor plug will ground out. This one is a good plug. However, I have seen them go bad. Typically what happens is, we're on 2 strokes, the oil gets inside there, gets in past where the gets past the porcelain, and shorts out the resistor. These are very bad plugs. Go play please, I'm doing a video. So that is pretty much all I have. So make sure you have a black lettered plug. Make sure you have the right proper plug for your bike, because on the KE100s they should not be blue. However, I have seen blue plugs in there. They have basically the same number, you know, the 8ES. But see right here, this bike should have had a B8ES, and they put a BRES in there, and that is incorrect for this bike. So this is what someone did. They put a BR8ES when the bike took a B8ES. The R is resistor, and it's blue lettering. Very bad plug, especially in 2 strokes. So that's pretty much all I have. I hope this video helps you guys out with your ignition timing, and that pretty much covers it. If you watch my videos, I have some in a playlist for ignition timing and setting the points, and they show you how to do that. Andrew, I'm making a video, buddy. Please be quiet. Yeah, definitely, you know, check out those other videos, because it shows you a whole lot more on the ignition settings for the points. You can't change or alternate this. It'd be cool if you could, because then you could advance your timing and retard. It gives you a little bit more to play with, especially in my case with a high performance bike. I might actually take a plate and machine it out a little bit in both directions, but for right now it's perfect. Not even gonna mess with it. And remember, you cannot swap flywheels. If you have a bunch of bikes like I do, they look the same, they smell the same, they're the same height, they probably even taste the same. I'm not going to find that out. Okay. This one has 4 magnets. This is electronic ignition. This does not have a cam. No cam. This one has 3 magnets and does have a cam. So keep that in mind. Also too, another way you can identify is this one has the timing mark here. This one I don't believe does. No, there's no window. So right above your timing mark, you follow it down, there's no window here. This one right here has a mark, has a secondary mark, and it also has a window of opportunity right there to adjust the points. So that's the difference between the two flywheels. And this flywheel right here, see the drill holes, the 3 drill holes? This has been speed balanced. This has been speed balanced. This one right here has not. There is no, it's just stamped and that's built that way. So this is going to give you a little bit more vibration, unless it's been somehow balanced with magnets or something, I don't know. But that's balanced, this is unbalanced. That's going to be smoother than this. That's electronic, that's points, old school, new school. I have not seen any differences on flywheels. There is an older flywheel. Actually, I'm going to grab that real quick and show you guys that other one. This is the old style flywheels right here. Old style. This is aluminum. It has a timing mark on it and one in the front there for the timing. And same thing. You have a bigger window on this one to adjust the timing. Let's see here. Yep. Everything's in the same place. This is for the early KE100s and the early, what do you call it there? The early, Trail Boss 100s had this style magnet. This one has 6 mini magnets right in there. About the same thing, it's got the cam. So this is the early ones. This one's also balanced, but for that different style. But the points in ignition look exactly the same. They look exactly the same. And the reason why they went from this one to this one is because they have a different crank. The crank is different. The taper is different on the end here. So if you look at the tapers there, this one is more robust. The newer one is a little smaller. I think they went to a different crank name. But this is the one for the early KEs, the later KEs, and the latest KEs right up in there. So those are your 3. Those are your 3 different flywheels or magnetos you'll find on the Kawasaki KE100s. Right there, all 3 generations of them: early, later, latest. And that's pretty much it. So both of these are points and take the same plate. And you'll find that with this one right here, the points and ignition have a different wiring harness. It has a bunch of wiring to it. This right here came off of a Trail Boss project I was doing. I put a KE100 motor in place of a what do you call it there? A 100 Trail Boss with a 10-speed. So that's the reason why I have that. So, but it's all the same. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Remember how to test them. Mark it down your book. Best way to do it is with a field gauge to adjust them. And if you need to test them, undo that nut right there. Take off this blue wire. It pops right off the back. You don't have to take it off all the way. You just loosen it up. I'll put something on for you in a second, buddy. I'm doing my video here. Yeah, you just loosen up that nut, pop off that wire, and then you'll be able to test your points. Real simple. make sure you put it back on. And you can do it with a pair of nail nose pliers. You don't have to get them super tight. You just want to make sure they're locked down, so when you do tighten them up, you know, it's tight. But when you take them off, you can use a pair of nail nose, pop the wire off, and test it that way. And that's how you test your points. And set your timing. Some of the earlier bikes, I took this out right here. I wanted to show you guys this. This is in the book here. Now, let's see, I'll blow this up here for you guys. See right here where the points plate is adjustable. Some of the earlier ones had that. Not none of the KEs, but just the right here. This is what I was talking about right here. Let me see. See how you can loosen up that screw and rotate the whole. You can rotate this whole plate right there because it's on a slide. These ones aren't. These are fixed. So all the Kawasaki KE100s, the Trail Boss 100s, all the 100s are fixed. And that's also the same for the 80s and the what do you call it there? The 80s and the 100s. So get that back here. So that's pretty much it for this. Hopefully this video helps you guys out. I'm gonna eventually put this in my playlist. I still have a lot of videos to go through and put where they need to go and assess them because I've been doing so many videos. So, but once I get caught up with that and the playlist and all that, we'll be good to go. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, I hope this helps you guys. I hope this answers your question. Yeah, definitely please subscribe. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys.